A red hand is a powerful symbol of Native American culture. It's also used to represent the tens of thousands of Indigenous women and girls fighting to have their story heard.
Yeah, a 2016 study by the National Institute of Justice found nearly 85% of American Indian and Alaska Native women have experienced violence in their lifetimes.
Reporter Heather Graf takes an in-depth look at what's been described as a silent epidemic of violence impacting these mothers, sisters, and daughters.
My mother's name is Deborah Blackcrow. She is Oglala Sioux.
Deanna Blackcrow recalls the moment when she lost her mother.
My mother was an Indigenous woman and she was murdered and lost her life due to domestic violence.
In 1997, her mother was 38 years old and 7 months pregnant when she and her unborn daughter were found murdered in her California home. Deanna's mother is part of what the CDC says is a growing crisis among Indigenous women in America. Murder is listed as the third leading cause of death for Native American women, and the murder rate is 10 times higher than the national average for women living on reservations.
They were murdered on June 28, 2016 at the Navajo County Superior Courthouse, just a few feet away from the court entrance.
On the Navajo Nation in Arizona, Donovan Quintero's sister and niece were killed by the children's grandfather during a custody case. Solomon Diaz is currently serving 50 years in prison after pleading guilty to second-degree murder and assault charges.
I knew I had to fight.
Wiwa Gray is a council representative for the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community in Arizona. She was kidnapped when she was 20 years old, but says she managed to escape her captor 2 years later.
Everybody thought that I was gone on my own accord, so I know how it feels. My family knows how it feels.
She is now a member of the Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Task Force, formed by Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs. The task force will work with state, federal, and tribal agencies to collect data on violence against Indigenous people.
This has been going on for so long, and it's been happening.
In Nevada, Rulon Pete, the executive of the Las Vegas Indian Center, is urging state and federal lawmakers to take action in support of the Native American community after the January 2023 arrest of former Dances with Wolves actor Nathan Chasing Horse. Chasing Horse is accused of running a sex cult that trafficked Indigenous women and children. And Pete says this case highlights the domestic violence and sexual assault that's common in the Native American community and the poor data sharing between tribes and the federal government.
It's unfortunate because it exists in the Indigenous community. Unfortunately, we're not counted in a lot of statistics, so a lot of times there are not very many people that'll speak up.
In 2016, the National Crime Information Center reported more than 5,700 missing Indigenous women, but the public database of the U.S. Department of Justice only reported 116 cases. In fact, that same 2016 report said there is no reliable count of how many Native American women vanish or are killed each year. A team of researchers in Seattle found that Indigenous and Alaskan Native women are often misclassified as Hispanic or Asian or other racial categories.
It's just a lack thereof, especially in the Indigenous community. The protocols, the resources, the support groups, things that should be available.
So, in an effort to raise awareness, Deanna Blackcrow continues to speak out. She formed an organization called Her 38 Roses that works to protect Indigenous women against domestic violence. And Deanna says more needs to be done to get them resources and help.
And you have to have a lot of courage to stand up against your abusers.
The federal government created the Missing and Murdered Cases Unit to solve cases involving American Indians and Alaska Natives. And federal legislation like Savannah's Law and the Not Invisible Act address Indigenous violence, but the advocates we spoke to say there's still a long way to go.